Alright, this is Chat UTD, and ahead of the season opener on Sunday, my predictions for the season, although it's difficult to predict accurately what's going to happen in the season when there's still time in the transfer window to do more business, and I think it really does depend on what we do between now and the end of the window as to where we finish. As things stand right now, with Cunha and Bumo and Seshko added to the team, I would suggest we'd probably finish about 10th. It's 5 places higher than last season, which obviously indicates an improvement. I'd expect us to score more goals. I would expect us to be better to watch, to be more dynamic. But I still think there's issues in the midfield. I still think, obviously, we've got issues with the goalkeeper. Those 3 players have got to transfer their form from previous clubs to United, which isn't always a given. And we finished 15th, and we were so bad last season. And we've added 3 players, not 6 or 7. So I'd say 10th, and hopefully maybe a good cup run. If we were to get a midfielder and perhaps a second choice goalkeeper, or maybe a young goalkeeper like Lemens, who we've been linked to, who could ultimately start to challenge Onana, but not our first choice signings in midfield and goalkeeping positions, I think we'd probably finish about 8th if you added that to what we've already got. If you get a first choice goalkeeper and Belieber on top of what we've already got, I think you've got to be looking at 6th, maybe even 5th. I think that's a very good window if we get those two deals done, whoever that goalkeeper might be. How likely is that to happen? Well, Belieber's apparently 100 million. If it's 100 million, it's not being done. If it's less money and maybe we send a player over to them, or that we can do some jiggery pokery with instalments and the length of time that we pay it, then maybe. There's contradictory reports out there as to what United's finances are like, and one report reads that we're in real financial dire straits, and that there's real problems there, and then another report indicates we've got a massive credit facility which we're accessing, the attitude is, let's just use it now and worry about it later. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe in that front. I've always thought from day one, from minute one, with the Belieber deal, that it's not going to happen. And the cynic in me believes that what the club are doing is basically saying, well, look at the ambition we're showing by trying to get this young beast of a player from a Premier League team who finished higher than us last season, who's the next big thing. The fact whether we get him or not is immaterial. At least we've gone and tried. We've showed intent. It shows ambition. I think that's what the club are doing, knowing full well the deal is not going to get done. Really cynical, but you know what? It pays to be cynical when the owners of the club are who they are. And I'm not having the wool pulled over my eyes by PR and spin. The Athletic and Romano are under the thumb of United without a doubt these days. So I don't believe everything I hear and read, even when it's from reputable sources. If we got the Belieber deal done, I think it's a massive signal of intent. But let's see. I don't believe that'll happen. And apparently we're not going to go for a first choice goalkeeper, which I think is a big mistake. The blocker to that, again, apparently, is that Onana doesn't want to leave. I don't care whether Onana wants to leave. I'd buy a first choice goalkeeper and say to Onana, he's our first choice goalkeeper. You can try and compete with him, but you're basically going to be playing in the League Cup. And what's he going to do? I think he'll either leave now, he'd leave in January, or he'd leave next summer. He's not on daft wages. It's not like he's on 300 or 400 grand a week, and you've got a player there that's on massive wages. Sat there twiddling his thumbs. It doesn't seem like he's probably a disruptive influence around the place, so I don't think that'd be a problem. Obviously, you don't have to get rid of Bain there, but I think that would be possible. Just think, Lemens, who I mentioned before, is being spoken about as a promising young goalkeeper, is probably going to cost you about 20 million quid. Donnarumma is probably going to be similar. Donnarumma is an absolute no-brainer. It's not even a risk. But that's what I do. I don't think the club are going to do that. So I think what's likely to happen is we get a player who's a grade down from Belieber and maybe we get a backup goalkeeper, or we don't get a goalkeeper at all, in which case we hover somewhere around that, my prediction being about 8th, something like that. The weekend against Arsenal, I think we'll do all right. I don't think we'll lose. It's a new season. We've got 3 new signings. I hope Seshko starts. I think there'll be some optimism around the ground. We tend to do well against the better teams anyway. It's early in the season, as in like you sometimes get surprise results earlier in the season. I think we'll win. Actually, it will beat Arsenal. It's after that that's the problem. The first 8 games are pretty tough, to say the least. We've got 5 out of the first 8 games are against last season's top 5. The other 3 games are Fulham away, Burnley and Sunderland. Modern day Man United give you no guarantees that they're going to beat Fulham, Sunderland and Burnley. So it's a really tough start. And how we do during that, if we can come out relatively unscathed and do okay, I mean, what's okay out of 8 games? 4 wins, maybe? 4 wins and a draw, something like that. You're going to get some defeats in there. Then you box that off and then almost the season starts. If we have an absolute horror show of a start, it's going to be difficult to recover. So that plays a big part actually in how we're going to do over the season. But I think who we get in between now and the end of the window will make a massive difference. As I say, stays exactly as it is now. I think we're going to finish 10th. Get a couple of players in, but maybe not the exact ones we want, like a midfielder and a goalkeeper, but not our choice A, if you like. Then I think 8th. Get Belieber and a first choice goalkeeper in. I think you've got to be looking at 6th, 5th. My success criteria for this season is if we finish 6th and win a trophy, I think that's been a brilliant season. But we'd have to get those 2 specific deals done for that to happen. Moving on to the postponed protest. There was supposed to be a protest at the weekend, but the 1958 have said that due to doing a fan survey and reading the results of that survey, they've decided it's probably not in keeping with the mood of the fan base at the moment to do a protest right at the start of the season when there's new signings, and obviously we've signed Seshko and there's talk of more signings as well. Carrington's just reopened and been done up and tied up and all that kind of stuff. So they've got to read the room. There's no point in trying to put a protest together when people aren't in the mood for it, or perhaps it's seen in bad taste or whatever. My annoyance isn't with the 1958, my annoyance is with the fan base, because it just seems to me like it's always been that United sign a couple of players, put out to reputable media outlets that we're going to sign a couple more, and the fans are absolutely appeased by that. The standards of this club have been ran into the ground strategically, systematically over a long period of time, and I've said that many times on here. So much so that when the club do something even semi-competent, it's not just accepted and it doesn't just appease the fans, it's celebrated as if it's a rip-roaring success. We needed, in my opinion, 6 or 7 signings this summer. We've got 3. Now, even if you're happy with that, that's okay. If you're happy with 3 signings, fine, and PR around 2 more. That's only one aspect of football club ownership. It's not a reason to not protest, because 3 signings when we needed 6 or 7 doesn't change the fact that the fans over the last 18 months have been treated absolutely appallingly. No concessions for youngsters anymore, no concessions for older fans. Prices going up despite finishing 15th. Cutting ties to local charitable the Man United Foundation, ex-players charities, that community family feel to Manchester United that used to be there isn't there anymore. Moving fans from seats where they've been there for 30 or 40 years, but not just moving them, the way they've been moved, the way they've been treated, the communication they've had, and I know fans that have had it done to them. Disgusting. All of that still happened. Not signing 3 players when we needed 6 or 7 doesn't make any difference to any of that stuff. That all still needs to be called out. That all still needs to be protested against. Because being a great football club isn't just about what's on the pitch. It's about how you carry yourself off it and how you treat your fans. And this group of people are absolutely obliterating fan culture at Manchester United, and it's only going to get worse. If and when that new stadium happens, it's finished for people like me supporting United. I wouldn't say I'm rich, I wouldn't say I'm poor, I'm somewhere in the middle. I could afford to spend daft money to go to the odd game here or there, but I choose not to. So essentially I've been priced out. And I imagine a lot of United fans would feel the same. So if you're happy with that, then get behind this regime. If not, it needs strategic protest for change. Thing is, though, I suppose even if the protest went ahead, it doesn't do anything anyway, because all the 58 so far, as well-meaning as they are, have been able to facilitate is loud complaint. They've never gone any further than that. There's never been strategic protest for change. But what this tells me is the fact that it's had to be postponed because there's no appetite for a protest, given recent signings and positivity around the club, is that the fan base will never, ever get rid of the Glazers and or Ineos. They might go, but it would be an outside influence that would do that rather than us being able to do it ourselves. No appetite for it, no appetite for a fight, as I've said before, and that's hard, that's sad, because I was going to bring in something I read today. So, as I said, The Athletic now is pretty much a mouthpiece for United, and they've done an article suggesting that there was a board meeting where United are being more aggressive now in terms of trying to get more signings in because they're calling it the now or never season, and that Barada's led this board meeting where he said there's 3 key words I want everyone to focus on. It's bravery, badge and spirit. Values I can get on board with, absolutely. Don't talk to me about badge and spirit. That badge is not just about attracting players who are going to play for it, although I want us to do that, of course I do, and embody the spirit of Manchester United. That badge is there because of people like Sir Matt Busby and Jimmy Murphy and the Busby Babes that passed away playing in the honour of Manchester United and pioneering a path for English football as the first English team to play in Europe. That's what that badge represents. And the values and traits that they have and characteristics of this club that they put in place and have been harnessed over a period of time have been shat upon, Omar, by your boss over the last 18 months. So don't talk to me about badge or spirit. The other thing is, they're just words at the moment. Great values, great words, although I just pointed out the contradiction behind the two of them. Absolutely I want bravery, absolutely I want people to play for the badge, absolutely I want to see spirit, and if that happens moving forward, then that part of what they're doing will be successful. The other stuff still needs to be sorted out in terms of fan culture, the way they treat the fans, the way they carry themselves, the values, etc., and I don't think that'll happen. But even if we take them at their word, at the moment they're just words. And I've been here too many times at the start of too many seasons where fans are very easily appeased, and as I said, acts of competence, momentary competence from the club are celebrated like we're back and like we're going to be winning Premier League titles again. The club is way off, both on and off the pitch. And I'm not saying it's not possible for us to get back, but I have to stand by my assertion that I don't think, whilst these owners are in place and while this ownership structure is in place, I don't think United are going anywhere serious on the football pitch, and I think they are going to ruin fan culture off it. And I'm sorry to end on a negative note, but I always try and bring it back to the bigger picture of the club. And maybe that's not the right tone to set at the start of the season. Once the season starts, by the way, there's football to talk about. I keep bringing it back because I always do, but there's football to talk about, and that'll be hopefully interesting. But what to expect this season from me? I do mainly for people. I don't know if I suspect there's quite a few new people that have started watching recently. I do match previews. I do match reactions. I don't do watch-alongs. Maybe one day, but you can't do that with 27 subscribers. If there's stories, obviously, that are interesting regarding the club, I would react to them. I would talk about them, and I would give opinion pieces, and I particularly give opinion pieces on the way the club's being run. And if I see change, by the way, that's positive, I'll call it out, and I'll hold my hands up, as I have done in the last video. I've got a couple of things wrong this summer. I hope I'm wrong about Belieber. I really do. I'm going away on Saturday, only to Cornwall, so we'll have Wi-Fi. It'll just be a different setting, but I will do a match reaction after the Arsenal game. I'm going to be watching it, and I'm looking forward to it. And as I say, I think we're going to win. I'm going to give you a prediction of 3-1 to United to end on a positive. So here's hoping. All the best. Glazers out.